But what is the problem here? If I write here console.log and I can access I value. We can access I value here after the for loop I is. Then you can access I value here itself. But it is very problematic because uh, after the for loop you can access I value and you can change that value. So it is maybe hamper your functionality. Okay. First, we can cross check that things. Then how we can overcome this thing, we will see. So after the for loop, we can access the I value. So we never use where keyword for that variable, I variable. Instead of that, we can use a let keyword. For the let keyword is given by the ECMAScript in advanced JavaScript or knockout JavaScript. ECMAScript is launches a new keyword that is a let keyword. So instead of where, we use a let keyword. So what is the difference basically? Difference between where and let. So first, where has global scope, means any variable you created, it has a global scope. Global scope means you can access anywhere in that file as well as in a different file as well. So it is called global scope. Global scope value will be stored in a data segment, your memory management. In memory management has data segments, various segments, data segment, core segment, stack segment, extra segment. So your global variable stored in a data segment. Whereas if you are using let keyword to create a variable, so let has scope within nearest block. Let has a scope within a nearest block. Okay. So it cannot access outside the block. That blocks indicates is a curly bracket. In that case, the block is a curly bracket means you can use a let keyword when let variable in the for loop as well. You can use a let keyword in a function scope as well. If you are using any let variable in a file that is scope limited, it's a file scope. Means within that file, you can use that let keyword. You cannot use outside that file because let value is stored not in data segment, it is stored in your stack segment. Don't call it as a local. Local concept is a different. Let is not a local scope. Let is a scope within a nearest block. Okay. So let the example is for we can create same for loop. Instead of where we can use a let I equal to 0, I less than 5 or I plus plus. Okay. And then same logic we can here execute nothing different. The console.log, whatever the logic is there, you can here execute it. Okay. Simply that for loop is executed. Check out whether it is executed or not because we are creating a let keyword. The value of I is 0, 1, 2. But if you can access that I variable outside this block, of your block is curly bracket. Outside the block, I variable is not accessible because let has a scope within a nearest block. If you want forcefully access, it will give us an error. Console.log, and we can mention here I value is simply print I. So it gives an error. Okay. If you're looked at here, gives the red line or variable. Mouse over that on the I variable, you find that cannot find the name I variable you cannot access outside that block. Okay, so that is the main difference for a late and var. Whereas late is a memory efficient instead of var. Okay, so ECMAScript recommend create the variable as a late. Don't use a var. If you're required that variable has a global scope, then and then only go a var variable. Otherwise, you can use a late variable. Because if you are creating any variable, scope is immediately as a global scope, and that value is stored in a data segment. And right now, in day-to-day life, memory is the most concern. If you are using less memory and make it code is optimized, then your application performance is increased, and performance increase, and your code is also optimized. Memory efficient. Code is memory efficient. So for that, late is introduced, and we use late as well in Angular also. Don't we cannot use a var. Okay, clear these things. Amit,
Yes,
are you clear
yes,
this?
Sumit. Yes, Sumit.
Amit, are you getting these things? You're asked this question.
Yes,
Yes.
yes, I get it.
Okay. Next, one more keyword is present here. There is a const. The const is also used. Means it's like your final keyword. In core Java, use a final. Same like const keyword is used. Const, the meaning you cannot change the value of a variable. Value of variable once you assign. Once you assign any value, you cannot change programmatically as well. Okay. Again, const keyword is used to create a variable as well, but there is some condition you cannot change that value. Okay. Okay. Change. So see here, const is a keyword followed by a variable name, for example, pi, and we can use 3.40. That is a constant value. If you want to change pi 2.5, it gives error because we cannot change that value. Cannot assign to pi because it is a constant. Okay, so that also keyword is introduced. If you have to check the value, that value will be you getting console.log and simply writing here directly pi. Okay, just cross check it. Before that, and comment that for loop. Compile and run. So value of pi is 3.40. Getting?